Good morning and welcome to the President's meeting on Saturday, March 21st. It's my honor to welcome our guests who are viewing and all of our speakers, and to thank you and them and our Metropolis and Atlanta staffs for allowing us this opportunity to present to you live from Atlanta in the comfort of your homes. Each of you are busy and have important tasks, so we're limiting the meeting to 2 hours. If you have to miss the meeting, it will be archived. Speakers' notes will be available at the Metropolis website, atlmetropolis.org, immediately following the meeting. The meeting itself is videotaped and will be available for archival retrieval so that you can view that at your leisure in the future. In closing, I'd like to remind us that in giving time today, each of us are giving a gift to our brothers and sisters in our metropolis. Early this morning, one of our parish council presidents at our cathedral in New Orleans emailed me. He's a general surgeon, Dr. Aris Christakis. He touched my heart when he said, "Father, I want to be on the meeting, but I'm covering several hospitals and it's getting quite complicated." I think that says it all. Time is limited. We want to communicate with you, from beginning with His Eminence, the state of our metropolis, and his pastoral wisdom in this age of the coronavirus. At this time, I'd like to ask for George Matthews, our meeting facilitator, to take over our meeting, and I will slip to the side to connect our long-distance speakers and to assist in behind the scenes. Thank you again. George.
Thank you, Father. Good morning, everyone. As Father said, time is of the essence, and time is a most precious commodity. And because of that, I will start immediately by asking our first speaker, His Eminence Metropolitan Alexios, to come forward, start us with an opening prayer, and give us his pastoral remarks. Your Eminence.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Father George, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you very much, Mr. George, for undertaking the responsibility to help us today. So let's start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, now and always, and to the ages of ages. Amen. Christ our God, bless us as we have been gathered, each one in his place, in order to participate in this very important for the Metropolis of Atlanta conference. We are thinking and we are praying that your will will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Βασιλεύ ουράνιε, παράκλητο το πνεύμα της αληθείας, ο Παναγού παρών και τα πάντα πληρών, ο θησαυρός των αγαθών και ζωής χορηγός, ελθέ και σκήνωσον ημίν και καθάρισον μας από πάσης κλείδος και σώσουν αγαθέτας ψυχάς ημών. Amen. Today, of course, we have this wonderful conference. The only thing that has been changed from the other years is that we don't have people here present in this wonderful room that was prepared for all of you and for all of us. Instead, because of this terrible disease, we have to be at home, and there we have to observe and to listen what the people have to say to us. This is a very important meeting for two reasons. Number one, for me, is that we have to share with the people what is going on in the metropolis, because the metropolis is not the metropolitan or the bishop or Father George the chancellor or the staff or the priest, but metropolis consists of all the people that reside in the southeast of the United States of America, and they are members of the communities and therefore in the metropolis of Atlanta, and through that from the church. And so we have to be responsible. We have to share with the people what's going on, and then the people have to participate and to share with us their ideas, their opinions, and then the people that they are here to make decisions, they will see how they can adapt their wishes, their thoughts, to better our life, and of course to build up more programs for ourselves and most importantly for the kids. The priority that we have in the Metropolis of Atlanta is the youth, not because the youth is the future, but because the youth is the group of people that they have to learn from the young age how they can conduct themselves to one another, and of course to build up a relationship with God, who is our Creator and who is our Father. And that's why we are giving emphasis to that. But when we get more than one people together, all the time there is an evil spirit that's around, and therefore there are things that can be done and in a wrong way. For this reason, we, as a diocese, with the people that are helping and assisting there, and with Metropolis representatives, they have come up with rules and regulations that, of course, later on, Miss Monica, the youth director, is going to share with us, and so everybody will understand what is going on. Another thing that is related to the youth and also to ourselves, the older people, is that we try to build up more committees and more programs for the districts that we have in our metropolis, so the priests can be participating, but also the faithful. And later on, His Grace Bishop Sebastian is going to speak to us. I'm taking the opportunity to let you know that Bishop Sebastian has been appointed to the Metropolis of Atlanta to help and to assist us in our endeavors, and of course in the committees and in the programs that are related to the people and again to the youth. And I'm very thankful to His Eminence, and I'm very thankful also to His Grace for assuming that responsibility and coming down to the south, actually to the place where he belongs. We like the other thing that to share with you is that we have to give emphasis to how we are doing our business in the Metropolis of Atlanta, and I'm referring to the finance. And I'm very thankful again to Mr. Nick Moratakis, who is working with the rest of you, the Parish, the Metropolitan Council members, and specifically with Mr. Bill Marianis, and of course Mr. Christ Mandelaris from Greensboro, North Carolina, and they're coming up with ideas, and then we try to implement them so we can have what is possible as human beings to have in relationship to the finance. And I'm very thankful to them and to the rest of the people that they are involved. Another thing that I would like you to know is that we have Dr. Michael Missions from Huntsville, Alabama, who is traveling extensively with Mr. George Matthews, and they are trying to visit the communities to see what's going on and to help, to assist, and to provide the means spiritual to them. And they that are coming to the metropolis, we have discussions to see how we can help, how we can assist, and how we can provide the means, because everybody means well, but other, because of ignorance or of self-interest, they don't understand what they have to do and how they have to do. For instance, we have places and communities that only the Treasury signs the checks. That is an anathema for our church in the United States of America, because there is a rule that we have to have at least two people sign a check when we are paying whatever we are paying, even the electricity, the utilities. And we have to teach the people, and we have to ask them to do what they have to do in the way that they're supposed to do. Then I would like to thank also my staff here, Father George, the Chancellor, and of course Mrs. Ethel, Mrs. Joanna, Monica, and Nick, that they're going out of their way to to do whatever they have to do in order for us to communicate with all of you and the rest of the world and to share with you our thoughts and the things that we think that they have to be done. And with this, I would like to close with saying a few words about this terrible disease. First of all, this is a disease from what we have heard from the medical society and of course from the presidents here in Greece, in Italy, in Germany, in France, in England, in Spain. It's a terrible disease and it's very contagious and people are dying. In Italy, for instance, yesterday died almost 600 people to the point that they are using the military to bury the bodies and there are families that they have lost their own people and there is like they have a war in Italy. That can happen in the United States of America or in Greece and so on and so forth. For this reason, we have to take care of ourselves, and the way that we can take care of ourselves is to lock ourselves in the house. In other words, not to visit places that there are many people, not to go even to the church, because when you are getting closer with another person, it's very easy either to give the disease to the other person or to receive from the other. So this is a virtue that we have to use, and that virtue we call love. Out of love and respect for the other human being and for ourselves, we have to be careful. Yesterday we had the salutation service at the Cathedral, and we had just the clergyman and myself, the two chanters, and one Parish Council member, and that's it. But people, they were observing, they were participating from their homes, and were thinking that in the church we had people. St. John Chrysostom, according to the writings of his biography, was liturgizing the church, and then he was delivered a beautiful and a long sermon. So the section after the Divine Liturgy asked, Your Eminence, Your Grace, I mean, we didn't have people today. Did you have to speak and to spend so much time? He said, I'm sorry, but I was seeing the church was packed. And the section asked him, I mean, I was here and didn't see anyone. He said, yes, we didn't see, but the church was full of angels, that they were representing the souls and the people, because everybody has an angel. So we were thinking yesterday that the church was packed, and in this way we celebrated the salutation in the most beautiful way, like we are doing the rest of the Fridays. So you have to stay at home. That is the order of the government, that is the order of the church, and God is in our hearts, because St. Paul says that you can find God everywhere in the universe, but don't forget that God dwells in your hearts, because η καρδία ημών ναός εστί του μην κατοικούντος Αγίου Πνεύματος. It's a temple, it's the church where the Holy Spirit dwells, and it's upon to us how we are going to prepare ourselves, how we are going to think about God, so we can be connected with the God. And I will finish with a beautiful story that is coming, derives from the history of our church, and that is, so we can feel comfortable not coming to the church. And that is that we have to receive Holy Communion. We have to be in the church according to St. Paul, but there are times that we have to practice obedience. And that is that we should stay at home and not come to the church. And through the history, we had many times that the people had to stay away from the church from one or another reason. When the Greeks were occupied by the Turks, many times it was forbidden for them to go to the church. But they were believers, and they had the Holy Spirit in their hearts. And Maria Aegyptia was 17 years in the desert without receiving communion, without being with other people so she can be part of the communion to build up communication with other people. But she was a faithful person. She was connected with God. She was receiving blessings from God. And after 17 years before she was departing from this life, Agio Zosimas went to the desert for his own self in order to pray and to be closer to God. And then he met her, and the next year he offered Holy Communion to her, and thereafter she died. So this is the way that we were thinking, and this is the way that we have to act. And with this, once again, I would like to thank God for giving us people like yourselves to work together in order to glorify His holy name. And now, Father George, I have finished, and Mr. Matthew, would you like to come here so we can go to another? God bless you all. God be with us, and pray for one another, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Eminence, for those words. We are blessed to have His Grace Bishop Sebastianos with us today, and he's going to speak to us on the update on district councils and adult religious education. Your Grace.
Good morning. Why? It's here. Closer. Father Christos is asking me to be closer to the microphone, but in actuality I wish we were closer to one another. But as His Eminence have said, our hearts, our minds are close to each and every one of you, and we are very thankful for your service to our Holy Church and to your parishes and to our metropolis. And I hope this opportunity, although it's a very unfortunate situation with the coronavirus, will bring us even closer together. His Eminence has charged me with the task of creating district councils for each region or conference. And in some regions, we already created those councils to bring us together and to help one another, so that as truly Christians, we care not only for our own parish, but for the other parishes that are around us, helping one another, organizing events for our youth, for our adults, for our seniors, and for any other activities that we have, liturgical, coming together for special events that we celebrate in our parishes. And we do that. It has been a very successful event, and we ask you to contact other regions, the vicars of each conference, very knowledgeable of what's going on, and it's nice to learn from one another and see what works and what it doesn't work. So I hope you do that in the next few days. Unfortunately, again, we are bound at home, many of us, and some people work from home, but that shouldn't prevent us from coming together in an electronic fashion. And we shouldn't forget our people that they constitute our parishioners. Both clergy and lay representatives of our communities should use the next few weeks to reach out to our members of our communities to, first of all, let them know that we didn't forget them. We can pray for them on the phone. We can have Bible classes on FaceTime or Zoom. So we can see each other, we can talk to each other, even at those difficult times, because we do need each other, and we shouldn't be isolated by this virus or paralyzed by it. As His Eminence said, a couple of things that we highlighted on the district council was the religious education committee that we established on the Metropolis level, and also the Greek education and we'd like for you in the next few months after this virus subsides to strengthen those committees. We like to reach out not only to children for religious education, but also for adults and all those who are seeking the knowledge of our Orthodox faith and to espouse our faith, to help them by sharing this wonderful faith that we have received through our parents and grandparents. And we need to use new methods of reaching out to them. In the Greek education, I know many people have not been of the Greek heritage, but our church would like to receive them and also have them share our Hellenic tradition and see how our Hellenic tradition is woven together with our Orthodox faith. An example of that is the three hierarchs that we celebrate on January 30th, and we see them, they were men of different cultures. St. John Chrysostom was not even Greek, but he espoused the Hellenic heritage. He studied at the University of Athens, and he used his knowledge of philology and philosophy to transmit the Orthodox faith. And we need to have an appreciation and love for the Hellenic heritage. We don't want you to be Greek, but we would like you to be a friend of Hellenism. Another thing, your roles as parish council presidents is to unite the communities where you are. And your role is very important. Together with the priests, you need to make sure that the community is united and that you're listening and you're fair to the entire community by being a consensus builder and not siding with one group versus another group. And that's the role also of our Metropolitan and myself and everyone who works here at the Holy Metropolis. We are trying to show that we are one family, and none is to be excluded from that family, even if they are acting in an appropriate way. We need to embrace them, we need to love them, we need to care for them, and make them part of our team by listening and by trying to understand them and trying to respond to them in a Christian way. I pray to God that these difficult times will soon be overcome so that we can continue on the wonderful work that we are doing as a metropolis, as regions, and as parishes for the glory of God. May God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Grace. Our next speaker is not with us, but he will be connected to us electronically, and we are pleased to announce that Mr. Lou Kirkus, who is the chair of the Archdiocese Finance Committee, is going to connect with us now and give us an update on the National Finance Committee.
Okay, this is Lou. I'm on. Can you hear me? Okay, are you able to see the first slide? I guess as that's coming up, just say, Your Eminence, Your Grace, fathers, parish leaders, thank you for the opportunity to be with you, at least over the phone, and to give you a brief update on things that are happening at the archdiocesan level. Do we have the screen yet? It's working? Okay, very good. Thank you. So I will talk today briefly about the Archdiocese financial status, a brief update on the St. Nicholas Church and National Shrine, Hellenic College Holy Cross, some things that are going on with the pension plan, a brief update there, and status of the total commitment program. First, at the archdiocesan level, the financial audit is taking place. If it isn't interrupted too significantly by this coronavirus inactivity, it is anticipated to be completed and available at the Clergy Laity Congress coming up this summer. On an overall basis, all the obligations of the Archdiocese are being met on a timely basis. Payments to the pension plan, payments on the loan, all vendors, the grants to Hellenic College Holy Cross, Metropolis total commitment sharing payments have all been made. I'd like to point out with the Metropolis total commitment sharing payments, this is actually the earliest that they have ever been paid in the history of the current program. The Clergy Laity Congress, though, and Ionian Village programs right now, because of limitations on travel and our inability to know what the future will bring in these areas, those really are a question mark at this point. The impact to the Archdiocese, if they don't take place, will be significant. There are, for the Clergy Laity Congress, required minimums that were met, that needed to be placed, rather, and that would not be met, of course, if the Congress didn't take place. It will be attempted, if it doesn't take place at the scheduled time, to be moved to another time that may work, and we hope that that's the result and not a complete canceling of the Congress. With Ionian Village, even if travel is allowed later, we expect that the participation will be down, so that there could be costs that need to be absorbed by the Archdiocese in the cancellation or less attendance of these two areas. Fortunately, within the Archdiocesan budget, there is a $1 million contingency that relates to legal and general contingency, so that would be available to assist in any costs that may be impacted here. However, we don't know how revenues may be impacted. We know that parishes will have a difficult time. Parishes that rely on gatherings, particularly those that may have festivals early in the spring, may need to be canceled. So we're aware that there may be impact to parishes, and then an impact going to the Archdiocese if parishes cannot make their total commitment payments on a timely basis. The Archdiocese does have a line of credit, $5 million, that would be available for use. That line has not been used since June of last year, and there is approximately $2 million of operating cash that the Archdiocese has currently. So at the present time, things are stable, but as we've seen in other areas, things can change very rapidly in this current environment. Moving on to St. Nicholas Church and National Shrine, there is now a group called the Friends of St. Nicholas that is responsible for fundraising and overseeing the completion of the project. Construction has restarted, not on site, but at the subcontractors off-site that are putting together materials for the outside shell of the shrine. That is going on now. The estimated cost to complete the project is $42 million, and as you see, there is $42 million committed to the completion, $20 million coming from the faith Foundation, Leadership 100 committed $5 million. Significant other individuals and organizations have committed $17 million, so that $42 million is fully committed. There is no additional support that will be requested from parishes, so those of you that were concerned that maybe there would be a strong drive coming back to the parishes for support for the St. Nicholas Shrine, that's not happening. And the church and shrine is expected to be completed by September 11th, 2021, the 20th anniversary of September 11th. Hellenic College Holy Cross, as most of you are probably aware, there is a new president in place, George Cantonis, and a new board. They are proceeding with fundraising. The GOA commitment for 2020 at $2.5 million is being provided as the funds are needed for the operating expenses of the seminary. Leadership 100 has continued its $1 million per year, and this year has added an extra $500,000 in their support of the seminary, and there is other support that is coming in. With the losses that had taken place over the last number of years, the restricted or pooled assets of the college seminary had been invaded. Those need to be replaced, and the school needed to demonstrate to regulators that it had a viable ongoing program, not just for 1 year, but really for 4 years. The overseers want to ensure that any student that enrolls will be able to complete their program at the college. So it's a long-term view that they take, and that requires that the operating accounts, financial situation be balanced, as well as having an ability to pay back the funds that had been used from the restricted accounts. So at the current time, the situation appears stable with the regulators. They are satisfied with the progress to date, although at this time the campus is currently closed because of the coronavirus situation, and the long-term effects of that, of course, are not known and have to be dealt with as time goes on. Related to the pension plan, the Finance Committee and Treasurer Elaine Allen, we're working together with the ABC to review the current pension situation and to determine, come up with a funding method going forward. We expect a plan to be able to be presented to the Congress for approval, and whatever method is adopted, we believe it must meet all of the defined benefit obligations that are currently there and cover the ancillary benefits that are provided through the current monthly payments by parishes to the ABC. It must also have sound funding on a going forward basis, that we must ensure that things do not fall behind, and also if the pension plan is frozen, the defined benefit plan replaced with a defined contribution plan, there must be a transition there that ensures that a smooth and effective transition from the existing plan to a new plan, so that there is an appropriate retirement program in place for everyone. The pension payments by the GOA are up to date. They haven't been behind. Although we don't know now the effects of the fluctuations, the big decline in the stock market right now, and the long-term impact of that will really depend on how long it takes for the market to recover. The Archdiocese did contribute an extra $1 million to the plan in 2019, and it is budgeted for an extra $1 million in 2020. Those payments, approximately $85,000 per month, have been made for January, February, and March. For the total commitment program, the parish support has been fantastic, really. We need to express really significant gratitude to all of you, all of the parishes that have met their obligations through February, before things started to really get an impact from the coronavirus. The collections had been at 23% for the full year versus 21% last year. The Atlanta Metropolis at 17%. That's really 2/12 the 2 months. It's essentially right on target. The amount at 23% on a countrywide basis results from a number of parishes, the parishes that have prepaid their total commitment allocation for the first year, and we're very grateful to any parish that has done that. We know that parishes going forward may have some severe financial impact, as mentioned earlier. There are no penalties that would be assessed, though, for late payments due to parishes having an impact from this current situation. And we do and are requesting the local finance committees to be understanding and compassionate in reviewing any parish's situation. We do request certainly that parishes that can meet their commitments on a timely basis to please keep doing that. We know that some parishes will be weaker. We ask the stronger parishes to please step up and help out where you can. The 2019, the year that was just completed, was the 8th consecutive year of the Metropolises, the GOA, on a countrywide basis, meeting 100% of the total commitment. And we hope that with God's grace and your support, the support of parishes across the country, that 2020 will be the 9th year in a row. So again, I thank all of you for your work and wish you a safe and blessed day.
Lou, thank you very much. That was a great presentation, and it covered a tremendous amount of material. One of the things that I would like to mention is that of course, the way we're set up for this meeting, it's not possible for you to ask questions as we go on time. But I wanted to remind you that if you do have questions after receiving a great report like we just got from Lou Kirkus, that you can email to Father George Sahakis with any questions you may have, and once they're received, we will do our utmost to get them back to you on a quick time. Our next speaker is Dr. Michael Misios, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee for the Metropolis. Michael is my traveling partner. We work with His Eminence in visiting the parishes. He's also on the National Finance Committee, and he has served our Metropolis for a long period of time. We are connecting with Michael now electronically, and he will be with us shortly.
See if I can figure out how to do this.
Michael, can you hear us? Speak a little louder if you can.
I can hear you. I'm trying to set my. Can you see the screen? Okay.
Yes,
Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
everything is on screen.
Okay. Great. Great. Well, Your Eminence, good morning, everybody, and greetings from the space capital of the U.S., Huntsville, Alabama. In the next 15 minutes or so, I will go over the allocation process and some of the changes that we have recently implemented. I will go over some of the differences and all of the documents that you would need, the parishes would need to complete the 2021 allocation process were distributed to all the parishes by the Metropolis around March 10th. In addition, in case we have not received them, all of the documents can be found on the Metropolis website under Archdiocese-allocation-. I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, 6 parishes have already submitted their allocation forms, and some of them, including the one from Mobile, Alabama, were flawless, which is encouraging that perhaps the documents we distributed are clear in terms of how to complete the allocation forms. The package that we distributed include the following. First is the Archdiocese Total Commitment Allocation Manual. I will go through this in more detail later. The second is a Metropolis of Atlanta addendum. There's a summary changes between the current manual and the old manual to help you go through the review. Then is the actual allocation form. There is a reconciliation form or mapping form. And then finally, there is a checklist or a questionnaire. So I'll go through this now briefly. On March 4th, the Archdiocese Finance Committee, of which Father George and I are members, approved a revision of the allocation manual. The main reasons for that were to clarify some of the text that has caused confusion in the past, and to update the definition of the allowable expense deductions to make them more equitable, practical, and consistent across all parishes of the Archdiocese. No substantial changes were made to the allocation process itself, the process that we have used in the last few years. We just tried to improve it and make it more streamlined. So the allocation manual, that's the cover page of the allocation manual. You can If you don't have it, you can go to the Metropolis website and download it. As you know, the Metropolis of Atlanta has been grandfathered and allowed to deduct the first priest expenses on our allocation form. We also have an eighth deduction for expenses which might have a metropolis-wide impact. For these reasons, the allocation manual applies to our metropolis, but because of the additional deductions, the allocation form and some other documents are a little bit different. So we issued a document called the Metropolis of Atlanta Addendum. It's a one-page document that describes the differences or the exemptions of the allocation manual to our metropolis. And the addendum is one page and it looks like this. I encourage you to read it. Now, as I said earlier, were not substantial changes to the application process itself, but we try to improve and clarify the text and make the application of the expense deductions more consistent across the 550 or so parishes of the archdiocese. In addition, we added 2 expense deductions, which I will cover later. Now, to help the parishes to review the manual, we summarized the differences between the current manual and the old manual. So you can go through the summary and that will help you see the difference between the process we've used last year and the current process for this year. This is a summary of some of the key changes. As I said earlier, we did not eliminate any deductions, but we added a couple. The first is very straightforward. We are now allowed to deduct the direct expenses of the parish's bookstore, not the overhead, but the purchase of the items sold in the bookstore. The second is a little more complex. Let me give you an example. Many of our parishes rent out the parish hall or the community hall to outside groups for private events for fundraising reasons. But they also use the community hall for standard church functions, like it could be a dinner dance or Sunday school or meetings. Now, the rental activities, of course, use a significant amount of utilities, electricity, gas, water, maintenance. But these expenses cannot directly be measured because, for example, there's only one electric meter in the parish hall. There's only one gas meter. However, they can be divided between the rental activities and the church activities, or they can be allocated using some criteria example, how many hours or how many days the rental activities utilize versus the standard church activities. But until now, these allocated rental expenses could not be deducted on the allocation form, cannot be used as allowable deductions fundraising as fundraising expenses. But effective this year, we can now deduct these expenses under fundraising expenses subject to some guidelines which can be found on page 12 of the manual. I know this has been a major complaint by some of our parishes, and now we have taken care of this issue. Okay, now the actual allocation form that we've been using this year it looks very similar to the one we've been using so far, a few changes. As you notice, on the top of the form, we have moved some of the parish contact information to the bottom or to the next page to make the form more readable. Other change that you would notice is that we have switched the chronology of the data columns by showing the immediately past year, in this case 2019 first, and then previous year or 2018 second. The reason for that is because many parishes use accounting programs like QuickBooks, which generate financial documents in this particular chronology. So we changed the allocation form to accommodate these accounting systems. Now, we also added a column next to the data columns for referencing the parish's financial documents where the numbers on the allocation form come from. And I will talk about that some more later. But this is basically the new allocation form for the most part. It's very similar to the one we've been using all along. Now, I will talk a little bit about the next form, which we call the data reconciliation. Many parishes have more than one bank account. They have accounts for, let's say, operating funds. They have a building fund. They have a festival fund, Goya or whatever. Now, the allocation form includes numbers that come from all these other financial documents. So in order to facilitate the review of the form, we were asking the parishes to fill this data reconciliation form, or really a mapping that you can see in every expense category, there are lines where you can enter the number you're claiming as a deduction and the page or pages where these numbers are coming from. Now, some parishes have been using their own mapping matrices or their own reconciliation forms, and that's okay to continue using to the extent that the numbers are easy to follow, complete, and accurate. The last document that we're asking parishes to complete is a checklist. It's a questionnaire primarily intended for those who are preparing the allocation form to help them avoid mistakes and help them complete the form accurately. For example, one question on the form is, did you submit a balance sheet for every fund that has a balance sheet? So very straightforward questions. The form takes no time to complete, but it will help you avoid mistakes and will make the review of the allocation documents easier for the Metropolis Finance Committee, but also subsequently for the reviewers of another Metropolis in July. This is really the set of documents that we have distributed and we're asking you to complete. Please go through the manual and all the other documents. I think they're easy to read, but if there's any question, you can always send me an email. My email address, it is shown at the bottom of the allocation form itself, so it's easy to find. So thank you, and please keep those allocation forms coming.
Michael, thank you. That was an extensive report, and you covered it well.
Thank you.
Michael's report was probably going to generate a lot of questions. Again, I'd like to repeat what we said earlier. That is, if you do have questions, Michael has given you instructions on how to communicate with him, and also we can communicate with our chancellor. Our next speaker is Monica Jurdy. She is in charge of our youth education and is our culture coordinator for the Metropolis of Atlanta. And we would like to ask her to come forward and give us the Archdiocese Youth Protection Report.
Thank you. Am I good? Your Eminence, Your Grace, Father George, Fathers, and George. We good? Wonderful. Like George has said, I am Monica Jurdy, the Youth Education and Hellenic Culture Coordinator for the Metropolis of Atlanta. I believe I might have the longest slideshow presentation today, but I promise to probably be the fastest. Back in September, the Archdiocese launched the policies for the youth, the policies for safety of youth and children. This logo here is the logo you should see. It should be on everyone's website. It is on our website to know that we are all compliant or trying to be compliant, doing our best for the Archdiocese. What this means is that all parishes in the Archdiocese need to sign a parish contract with Presidium, register, screen, and train all youth workers at a parish level. A youth worker means all clergy and any adult that participates in youth ministry program or events. That also is Sunday school, Goya, Greek dance, any sporting events, or anything that is a youth ministry program or event. Some examples that are not would be the Greek festival, choir, or the bookstore. Now, if you have a youth choir, that is a program for youth. So the choir director in that case would need to become a youth worker. Since September, all metropolises across the Archdiocese has been pushing all parishes to sign this Archdiocese contract with Presidium and register, screen, and train the youth workers. George. Father Earl Contos, who is out of Arizona, is leading the charge for the Archdiocese. He has put together the purple slides with my edits because we took out the other metropolises. If you want to go. Though these dates are of March 12th, and you can see I did it back later on. I've done a March 18th update, so numbers have changed. As you can see, the Metropolis of Atlanta has 74 parishes, and 71 of those parishes have signed a contract with Presidium. So we as a metropolis are not finished with step 1. Now, a lot of us are in step 2 and step 3, so that's a good thing. I want to take this time to thank all of you because the Metropolis of Atlanta was very quick in signing these contracts, and we have been publicly thanked at Archdiocese meetings for the last 6 months, but obviously we are not done, and you can take a moment to see where everyone else is. These are the 3 parishes that have not currently signed a contract. So if you are from one of these parishes, please call me and get these contracts signed so we can get you compliant with the Archdiocese. Father George. This is a detailed report on each metropolis and how many youth workers have been registered as of March 12th. So the first is anyone who has registered, and we are at 2,198 people. Of those people, 61% has done the youth safety training, and that is the training really explaining what we are looking for, how to keep our youth safe. And then 58% has done the youth worker regulations, which is explaining the policies, explaining where to go if you see something of concern. And then 79% have completed their background check. So we're up there, but we need to be 100% compliant. So this is coming from Father Earl. We need to finish step 1 and get all parishes signed. We need all parishes to upload their youth workers. There's about 7 extra parishes that have not uploaded their youth workers, and you will see who they are in a minute. The last is we need all parish council members and priests to help their youth safety admin to get everyone trained. They have been working hard, and they just need an extra help to push not only the youth workers, but some clergy. This is the list of all the metropolitans that have completed the training. His Eminence Metropolitan Alexios is one of them, so is His Grace. If you know someone who needs help with the training, please reach out to them, walk them through the training. It is all online. It takes about an hour and a half. So if you help someone, just make sure you're 6 feet away from them. But this is all done online. There's no reason why we can't get it done while we're all sitting at home right now. The next few slides are focused solely on the Metropolis of Atlanta. As you can see, this is a different date. There's different numbers, and they change daily. So this was of Wednesday, March 18th. Please note that the Archdiocese put a stop to a compliance date of February 1st. So as you can see, we are not compliant because it should say 100% across the board. What's next? The next 9 slides are each parish by their conference and what their numbers are. So the green will be everyone who's registered. The blue is who has done the training, the youth safety training. The yellow is the regulations, and the orange is the background check. So Father George is going to upload this on our parish website. So please go to your parish, see where you are, get in touch with your youth safety admin, and figure out who has not been trained, who has been trained, who's not on your list that should be trained, and please help them. You just... So I would like to thank these 6 parishes. These are the 6 parishes in our metropolis that are 100% compliant, and that is St. John the Baptist in Myrtle Beach, St. Barbara in Durham, Saints Constantine and Helen in Fayetteville, the Door Mission of the Theotokos in Greensboro, St. Luke in Mooresville, and Savannah, St. Paul's. A broad overview of the training is there are 4 types of main types of abuse. That's sexual, physical, emotional, and neglect. If you see any of those, you're supposed to call this hotline, and I also put the suicide hotline because that is a thing, especially with our youth. And there's also on our website, on the Archdiocese website, a notice of concern that needs to be filled out at any notice of concern and sent to the Metropolis, which will then be passed over to Father Earl at the Archdiocese. On a totally different topic, we are all stuck at home. Our parishes are not allowed to come to church, and all the youth offices in the Archdiocese got together last week, and we are working on some amazing opportunities for at-home learning. So this could be found on the Archdiocese website, and I also put a link to the youth page on our Metropolis website. Please use it. Here's an example of things that are happening on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then the 2 website links are at the bottom of the page. We're asking you guys to still stay engaged in your faith, even though we can't come to church. Locally in our Metropolis, the National Oratorical Festival should be happening right now, and with Hellenic being shut down, trying to figure out what to do up there, they have asked us to just give them time with the oratorical and figure out what to do with this year's oratorical. So they really don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. They know that there's an issue, and they've asked us to just give them time. When it comes to St. Stephen's summer camp, we are planning for the summer. The good thing is we can plan, and we kind of can do that from home from now. If there's any update, you will be notified, but we are planning for summer as normal. Registration for that will open this Thursday, March 26th at noon. This is my last slide. I set up updates for the youth information. I send it out about once a month. There was 2 this month, just because it's a big month. If you go to the Metropolis Youth webpage and you find this picture, you can click on it and sign up for the youth emails that I send out. I try to send out information about youth events across the Archdiocese, mainly the Metropolis of Atlanta, any study abroad programs that are not going to happen now when we go to Greece, and Ionian Village, but it's just an information hub that I'd like to send out. In conclusion, I want to thank you for all your time. Please remember that if we adults are scared right now, the children must be terrified. Please be honest with them, stay connected, and pray joyfully. Trust me, the kids can handle it. They might even surprise you.
Monica, thank you. Next on our agenda is the Metropolis Council update, which was to be given by Nick Moritakis. Nick is unable to be with us today due to commitments that he has under the current situation and things that he has to do with his business. So I'm going to endeavor to fill in for him and give you some of the points that he has already given to me, and hopefully give you an essence of the achievements that we've had at the Metropolis Council level. During the end of this last year and the beginning of this new year, the board members have, Nick has recruited new members to the board, including business people, professionals, and has a diversity in age and gender. He has worked with His Eminence and with Chris Mandelaris to ensure that our accounting systems and our auditing systems from outside CPAs have been put into place, and we have successfully achieved that. Not only have we done that, but with Chris Mandelaris' help, we have brought into the operations of the accounting system in the Metropolis assistance from outside accountants, and they have been in the process of doing the financial statements and we will very shortly have financial statements that cover our year ending through 19. It's been taking them some time, but they're getting to understand our system, which is very complex. Not only are they doing the financial statements and auditing the Metropolis, but they're also doing the same for the Diaconia Retreat Center. At the present time, when we started our debt with the Retreat Center, it was a little bit over $3 million. Due to efforts by our parishes across the Metropolis and the startup efforts of Jimmy Tassios and Kostas Kozakos, who've led the charge, our parishes have responded, and we have raised significant funds through galas. The most recent gala that was a result of the Atlanta parishes, and all the Atlanta parishes were involved, excluding, I believe it was, even Savannah, I believe, was also involved, even though they had already participated in another gala at another location. No? Augusta, sorry. I made a mistake. But the efforts that have happened have been significant, and the Atlanta Gala has brought in $265,000 towards the principal of the debt, as well as we received $87,000 from the gala at Clearwater, Florida. With those additions, our debt was at approximately $800,000. It's now going to be a little bit over $500,000. So we've made great strides with the DRC debt through these efforts. We've had an appointment of the Executive Committee on Finance and Audit. We've been working with newly enhanced DRC board, which I will cover shortly, to ensure that the funding of the mortgage payment, repairs on the tornado damage, property insurance recovery, infrastructure improvement, and providing advisory support to His Eminence and the Chancellor in dealing with concerns in parishes throughout the metropolis. All these things have been happening. Nick has served us for a long period of time, and we are truly blessed to have him with us. With regard to the DRC operations, we were scheduled to have Mark Moritakis, who's co-chair with me at the Retreat Center. Mark also has been heavily inundated with the current situation and has been unable to attend. I will try and cover that as well. We started when Mark came on board, and we are really blessed to have him because he's made tremendous strides with us with our old Diaconia Retreat Center operations. But the first thing that we did was to reinvigorate the board. And we have now 35 members on the DRC board, and we have broken those members down into what we call working committees. Those committees each have a committee chair, and they have a set area of responsibility. And some of those committees that we have put together, communication, there's an executive committee, a finance committee, facilities, there's a website that has been recently put together by the effort of the communications committee, and that is a website solely for the DRC, and it's its own website. There's an education committee, an outreach committee. We've revamped many things with the candle ministry under excellent leadership from Lakita. Summer camp, of course, continues to be a great ministry. Our financial audits I mentioned just recently, and financial reporting. Again, all with the support from Chris Mandelaris. Maintenance, repairs, and many things that have happened to us this year center around the damage that we received from the tornado that had hit the DRC. And between the damage from the tornado and maintenance, because we have been at the Diaconia Retreat Center for 18 years, that maintenance has become an issue, and we have done a tremendous amount of work. Fortunately, we've had the Greek workers with us during this period of time, and we've been able to address a lot of these issues much faster than we otherwise could have. The ropes course was damaged during the during the tornado event, and we are just in the process of rebuilding that ropes course so that it will be ready and available for our summer campers when summer camp starts. There are issues with, we're pleased to announce that we've just received, in the last 3 weeks, I believe we've received our certificate of occupancy for our chapel, which makes us really happy. We still have some other work that needs to be done before we can finish with the outside grounds, but we have that under control, and there are people and committees working on those issues. That's as much as I have on both the DRC and the Metropolis, other than to say that there's been great progress made in both areas, and we are very fortunate to have the people that we have working with us and being our synergatides. The next speaker that I have is the update of the Parish Facilities Committee update by my patrioti Frank Boardman, who comes from the island of Castellorizo, where my mother was born. And if we can put Frank together, Father, that would be great. Thank you. My apologies, everybody. I was going to talk about the candle ministry, which, as I mentioned earlier, we've made great strides in the way that we can order candles, the way we can pay for them, the way we can have them delivered. Lakita, as I said earlier, has done a tremendous job in that area. I don't know the slides. There we are. This is the slides from the candle ministry. They have their mission statement. Please look at the slides. Our mission is to provide blessed beeswax candles to the faithful. As we light these candles, we are reminded of our spiritual calling to be the light of the world. This is the part of the process of theosis that takes place in the context of a believing community. Next slide. There has been a lot of work done in how people can, our parishes may order their candles, how they can pay for them. We have streamlined everything. All of this appears on our website, and we pray that you will take advantage of them, because our candle factory was also damaged by the tornado, and we are pleased to report that those repairs have been completed, and we are even at this point in time having some of our campers and our visitors visit the candle ministry so they can get an education on how the candles are prepared. These are the choices of our candles: 10-inch tapers with a 3/8-inch diameter, also Metropolis Ministries. Our candle ministry does support the Retreat Center, Family Life, Philoptochos, Youth, Young Adults, Outreach Ministries, and others. These are some of the results from our production from 2014 to 2020. As you can see, the graph is impressive and the revenues are climbing. This is what our parishes are saying. Usually during closerly retreats or summer camp activities, if I travel by car, I bring back our needs for certain numbers of months in advance. That's from St. Demetrius at Daytona Beach. Our candles come quick and delivered straight to our doorstep from St. John the Baptist in Tampa. It's easy to order, and the quality of the candles is excellent. Thank you for your service. St. Raphael, Nicholas Irene, and Palm Harbor. and we plan to order on a regular basis St. Stephanos at Pittsburgh. St. Pittsburgh. Petersburg, I should say. Is there any more, Father, or is that it?
Am I good? Am I on? Okay.
There he is.
Hey, good morning, Your Eminence, Your Grace, and everyone in the room and attending video conference. I'm here talking about the Parish Facilities Committee. The Parish Facilities Committee was started back in the time of Bishop Philip of ever blessed memory, and then expanded when Bishop Alexios was made Bishop of Atlanta. The committee is a service to you, all parishes, to help with complying with the NPR regulation of all new construction, renovation, land purchases, and interior ornamentation of the church to be approved by His Eminence. His Eminence was enlightened to help with professional people on this committee to help you with all your construction and renovation needs and iconography needs. As you all know, you probably only work on one project in the entire lifetime of the parish, but having the Parish Facilities Committee, we're able to see all the different projects from all over the metropolis and archdiocese, and able to help you with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and help you not make the same mistakes, and hopefully make the same, say, great ideas that other parishes have come up with. So let's talk about the procedures. At the parish level, once you decide to do a renovation, new construction, or purchase land or sell land, you develop a building committee. That building committee is then contacts the chancellor and a copy to me via email with your intentions of the project. Once we make that contact, we will help you every step of the way. Once we will help you and guide you through this process. This is a no charge service that we provide. We have engineers, we have myself, an architect, and other people, finance people, public relations people on this committee. We can help you by meeting in person, conference calls, and one-on-one calls with myself. I've worked with many parishes throughout this. I've been in charge of this committee since 1990. So you will see that we have a lot of experience from all the different parishes. One thing that I do need to stress is that once you do start a renovation, construction, or iconography plan, that you receive 3 bids. 3 bids for design, 3 bids for construction, and 3 bids from iconography. I want to talk specifically, about iconography. Iconography is something that we all are very enthusiastic about. All our parishes want to ornament our churches, and we, and especially His Eminence, wants to make sure that we comply with the traditions, the holy traditions of the church. Our iconography has specific placements in our houses of worship, and we want to make sure that you are aware of those things. In the United States, you will see a lot of different adaptations of iconography and different placement of icons throughout our churches. This is because we have a public that is not necessarily as educated in this process, but His Eminence has entrusted us to help you do that. So here, this is how we do it. You come up with a plan for iconography, and once you do that, you will have an iconographer or the architect within the firm develop a plan that looks something like this. This shows you the plan of a church. This happens to be a chapel, and the iconographer and how it's going to be placed. This is then sent to the chancellor and copied to me, and then we review it and help you with that placement. So you understand how things should be written in the church. That should be done, and then once that is done, you get three bids from three different you get a bid from three different iconographers. Now let me go back to when we talk about renovation and construction. If you're to renovate your church, your hall, your parish center, camp, any area, when you approach the Metropolis, is not at the end of the project. It is at the schematic design phase of the project. There are many phases within architecture. The first being programming. That's when you meet with your parish and decide what you want to build and what activities are going to be held in this particular building or campus site. Then comes to a phase called schematic design. That's when the designer puts everything down on paper and arranges it with a master plan or with a plan of the building. At that time is when you approach the Metropolis, the schematic design phase, because at this time we can help guide you and place where things should be located, and from our experience with other parishes. The reason I stress at this phase is because nothing has been built, nothing has been constructed. This is a time where you can adapt and change, and it doesn't cost you anything. If you come to the Metropolis later during construction document phase, that will have to be change orders and redesign of buildings, and that would cost the parish more money. So we don't want to do that. We want to help you through this phase. Please understand that we are here to help you. We are here to guide you. There have been many parishes have used us. I would say majority of the parishes have used us and have been happy with the results, and feel free to talk to other priests and how this committee works. But again, this is something to help you, guide you, and make sure that the traditions of the church are fulfilled. And I thank you very much. And back to you, Father George and Mr. Matthews.
Frank, thank you very much. I've been blessed to have worked with Frank on the facilities committee, and we have participated with several parishes in the last couple of years. We worked with the parish in Charleston, South Carolina, who are going through a major renovation. They have put together a large program in the millions of dollars, and it's been a blessing to work with them, and we encourage them and anybody else who wants to go forward. We've also been working with the parish with Father Aristide in Kendall, and they have an exciting program that they're putting together for their parish right now with regard to a big school endeavor that they have there. As Frank said, we are here to help, and we enjoy doing it. Our next speaker is the update on, is the update on clergy transition strategic planning goal for parishes and parish council nominees training video by Dr. George Koulianos. Parishes and parish council nominees training.
Yeah.
By,
okay.
Dr. George Koulianos.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to present today. I have my timer on so that we can stay on time. Everyone. Thank you for I'd like to introduce you to my new two favorite people, my Lysol wipes. Stay on time, everyone. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So these are my new best friends, and I thought y'all would enjoy a little comic humor given how long this meeting is run. So it's my pleasure to share with you two programs. The first is something that's very near and dear to my heart. It is the Metropolis of Atlanta President's Meeting as it relates to the clergy transition document that we have been working on for several years. I have the slide deck up. I assume that everyone can see that. The credit really goes to Father Paul Kaplanis and his team for working so hard. So today what I'd like to do is introduce the document to you. It is on the Metropolis website, kind of guide you through it very quickly. And really the key is the clergy, the parish council, and the laity all play a critical role in parish transition, in clergy transition. So it's important that we all understand that it's an interconnected process and we all have to do it together. So a little brief background. This was part of the strategic plan. It was one of the, there were 11 areas and 34 strategic goals. The clergy task force was charged with, amongst its three charges, one was clergy transition, which again, Father Paul Kaplanis at the Cathedral chaired with his team, and they really did a wonderful job and deserve a lot of credit for really creating a very useful and excellent document. This is a data-based document. Several consultants were used. Several documents were reviewed from other denominations. Extensive surveying was done within the metropolis to figure out exactly how to construct this document. It's important to note that a smooth transition is really important to create a nurturing and loving environment for our proestamenos and for the parish together. I have done something, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share the screen. I haven't done that. Let me figure out how I'm supposed to do that. Hold on, let me see here, Father. I'm supposed to share screen. I'm not doing that. Here it is. Am I sharing it now? Okay, here it is. This is it now? I think I've got it now. Okay, thank you. So we've gone through the learning objectives, and now let's go to the 11-step process that the committee constructed. Step one is to become acquainted with the leadership of your metropolis. Obviously, when there's a transition, the first thing you do is you reach out to your metropolitan and your hierarch. There are many variables for clergy, the family, the clergy family, and the parish family as it relates to a transition. So starting out with an experienced guide is really important. The second is having a parish history that addresses the parish's unique history and its particular needs, actually sitting down and writing a document that talks about the transition process itself from the priest perspective, from the clergy family perspective, and from the parish perspective are very important. At the hierarch's discretion, at Metropolitan Alexios' discretion, there's usually a reveal meeting that happens in Atlanta. I think that's important if the opportunity affords itself to allow you to have a visit after the reveal meeting to the parish to pick housing, etc. Then that's always a good idea as well, but that expense should be assumed by the parish. Step four is just for the priest and his presbytera to provide sort of details. And this document goes to two places. First, it goes to the metropolis, and part of that document does come to the parish. And that's to provide details about the education, the clergyman's work experience, his presbytera's work experience, their accomplishments. Also to the metropolis, the clergy should provide any significant debt or financial hardship information, because that's important depending on where the transition occurs, if it's a high or a low cost of living area. The next step is really to talk about the clergy family and what's unique about the clergy family. Again, the better job we do in creating a plan, the more smooth the transition will go. Step 5 is to create a actual formulation of a welcome committee with a plan on the parish council and the parish side. There should be a reception for the clergyman and his family. There should be other events to sort of for the priest and the presbytera and the children to incorporate into the parish and get a handle, on the parish and just the environment. We don't want to overlook the importance of focusing on the presbytera and making sure that her transition as smooth as your parish priest's is. We forget that how presbyteros are really the backbone of the clergy family. The parish should learn the ages and the academic and extracurricular and possibly health needs of the clergyman or his presbytera or the clergy family, and facilitate the family into their integration into the community, into the school system and other activities. Say the kids are in sports and they do traveling, whatever. It's important to get a handle on that. So step 6 is really very important, to create a clergy welcome packet that includes school options, neighborhood reviews, professional lists, doctors, lawyers, on and on. I think all that's important. Traffic patterns, like what's traffic like on Sunday or during the week as it relates to coming and going from the parish? What hospital do the parishioners tend to go to? Funeral homes, contacts at the funeral homes, cemeteries, the tax office, where it's at, what are the deadlines, how do you get your license plate in a particular state or a driver's license? It's also important to note that 1099s are really discouraged. All clergy should be paid with a W-2. Then we move on to record keeping as it relates to the move. It's important, relating to the transition as your clergyman moves to the parish, that you take into account IRS distance and time requirements, choosing a good reputable real estate broker. If the clergyman is going to rent until his family comes, it's important that there be a transfer clause in the lease that allows the lease to be terminated with 60 days notice for some relocation, etc. There should also be a moving allowance that should be covered by and approved by the parish council. And there should be, on occasion, a temporary storage provision. Say if the priest is renting short-term until his family comes in, he may need storage information. There's also in step 7 an important piece as it relates to parish information. We want to create a packet of information so that the priest can get to know the parish in advance. Sort of a narrative of the parish, the state of the parish, and there's several pieces of information you can include in that. The document, again, is on the Metropolis website. It goes into far greater detail. Again, this document is meant to serve as a guide. It is not meant to be the be-all and end-all, because every parish is unique and a unique situation. So it's important, I think, to help you think of things that maybe you wouldn't have thought of. And that's what Father Paul's team tried to do to make this transition easier, because again, it is so important for the parish and for the parish family and the clergyman. Housing challenges in step 8 need to be considered. This is important, say a priest is trying to sell his house where he was before. He may need temporary housing. The family might be moving in later. All that's important to keep in mind. As we go through this, the clergyman may need a temporary residence. It's also important to note that, just from a clergy challenge perspective, if you live in a part of the country where housing doesn't appreciate very much, and then you add the real estate cost on top of that, you can incur a loss as it relates to the sale of your home. So equity that you've built up might be lost. And although the parish, may not be concerned about that, it can pose an impediment to ministerial excellence. So it's important to keep in mind. Step 9 relates to remuneration details. Obviously, all of that is at the hierarch's discretion, but the guidelines of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese Uniform Parish Regulations, Article 17, Section 8, are very clear, and the parish should do everything they can to abide by those. The parish is required to participate in the archdiocesan pension program and make the parish contribution, as well as making sure that the proestaminus and his family are a part of the archdiocesan health plan. And then finally, step 11 applies to an ephemerios or a second priest. Not every parish will have that, but there's some important issues there as well. So that covers the work of the Strategic Planning Committee, Task Force Goal 2.2, clergy transition. We pray that you find this useful in your parish. You may only use it every who knows how many years, but when you do use it, when you do need it, it's important to know that it's there. And again, Father Paul Kaplanis and his team need to be recognized for their wonderful work. I'd like to thank and recognize Metropolitan Alexios, Bishop Sebastian, and Father George, and the wonderful and nurturing role that they played in helping make this a better document. So again, I can't thank you all enough for your attention on this part of my presentation, and the team on preparing something that no other metropolis has, which is a parish transition. Now I'd like to switch, and I want to make sure that I'm moving from one topic to the other. I have the charge of covering 2 topics, and this is the clergy initiative as it relates to the Train the Trainer video. I'm not sure if that's up on the screen or not. Can you give me a thumbs up, Father George? Is it up?
No, it's not up. Dr.
Okay, let me
Koulianos
figure out how to share this. Hold on, let me see what I'm supposed to do.
There it is. It's
New
up now.
share. Here we go.
We have about
All right,
4.
so is it up now?
Yes, it is. We have about 4 minutes.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. All right, so now we're doing the clergy initiative.
Dr. Koulianos,
There's a
did you hear me?
beautiful
I said we have 4 minutes.
symbiosis between the proestamenos, the parish, and the proestamenos, and it feeds on itself. The Holy Spirit takes over and makes it something far more than any of us could have ever have envisioned when the dynamic is right. We have released a parish council nominee training video, and this is to train the trainer so that the proestamenos can now show it in his parish. Some of you have seen this slide before, but I apologize. The Lilly Endowment is the largest endowment in America that supports Christianity in America. It started out with $185,000 in Eli Lilly stock. It is now at $15 billion. And because they support all Christian denominations, they can give us a 35,000-foot view of Christianity in America. Sometimes within our denominations, we don't realize that the challenges that we have are across all Christian denominations. So there's some important resources that are there that we can learn and grow from. Again, this video, everything in the parish council nominee training video may not apply to your parish at any given time, but over the course of a parish's life and or a proestamenos' ministry, many of these challenges will be faced, and this video is meant to create awareness amongst the laity on the uniqueness of the priesthood. What the Lilly Endowment has shown is that the financial burdens that our clergy face are significant barriers to effective, faithful, and fruitful ministry. And personal financial literacy for the priest contributes to a healthier, stronger parish. That has been proven statistically in other denominations. And ultimately, the work of the Holy Spirit is a one-on-one. It works through the parish. And the stronger our clergy are, the stronger our parishes are, the stronger our clergy are. We've been fortunate with the Lilly Endowment. We received the $1 million grant in 2016, and we've also received a second grant now, another $1 million to continue our work. You know you've done something right. With this video, when we showed it to the Lilly Endowment in August, they were blown away, and they actually asked us to present at the National Lilly Endowment meeting where 47 different denominations were represented. You know you've done something right when the Texas Baptist Convention asks for your presentation. I don't know that the Baptists have asked the Orthodox for much of anything lately, but we were honored that they and a couple dozen of the churches that were there asked for our presentation. So it's being used not only in the Orthodox Church, but across all denominations. Our endowment is multifold. This is an embedding opportunity, and our goal today is to introduce the video, let you know where to find it, and here's where it's listed. Father George has already beautifully posted that link on the Metropolis website. Again, I'm teaching you how to use it today, and the bottom line is to improve your understanding of all the things our clergy do behind the scenes that we don't even know, and to understand the unique calling of the priesthood. The question is, why would anyone ever want to become a priest? The hours are long, the requirements are pretty intense academically, and we can go on, but ultimately, when you stand before the chalice and he gives you the blessed body and blood of Christ, he sees Christ in you. And there's nothing more precious, there's nothing more meaningful, there's nothing deeper. And understanding the role that the clergy and the parish council and the laity play in creating a healthy, vibrant parish is the purpose of our video. It is 2 parts. It takes 28 minutes. There's a discussion guide in the middle. We have used a who's who of authorities around the entire country. This is a data-based program. We all know what a priest is. We all think we know what a priest is, but ultimately our priests are here to help us grow in Christ and save our souls. We take, like here, even during the coronavirus epidemic, a clergyman just passed away because he was exposed to coronavirus while he was ministering to a clergyman. It wasn't an Orthodox clergyman, it was a Baptist clergyman, and it happened in Baton Rouge. But it just happened. Our clergy are at the front line for so many things. So if you go to goarch.org / parish council / training videos, you will see the entire series. Each metropolis has its own unique introduction and close by the Metropolitan. There is bonus footage available. There's an introductory trailer available. There's a discussion guide. It is not on the website yet. It is complete and it's going to be put up very soon for the discussion piece in the middle. Some parishes may choose not to do that. And we're also in production for a Train the Trainer video, which you're basically receiving now. So in summary, this video is designed to help lay leaders understand the important role they play in assisting our clergy in creating a thriving, vibrant parish ministry. The priesthood is a high and a unique and a special call with its own rewards and challenges for both clergy and their families, and these challenges have been underappreciated. And this video helps you understand that. So we encourage our parish council presidents to watch this video and show it to their parish councils and even to their parish as a whole, as well as to the parish council nominees. This program has been reviewed by every hierarch in the metropolis. It has been shown to the Archbishop. He has his complete endorsement, and there will be a major launch here in the next couple months. The take-home message is that healthy clergy beget healthy parishes, beget healthy clergy, and it is a beautiful, Holy Spirit-driven, and life-saving, soul-saving cycle for everyone who participates. And with that, I'd like to close, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Koulianos. Before we ask His Eminence to come forward with closing remarks and a closing prayer, Father George is going to put up on the website where you can obtain this information from so that everybody can see it. And
thank you to all our speakers and guests. Just quickly, before His Eminence wraps it up, if you go to the Metropolis homepage, atlmetropolis.org, you see our beautiful cathedral, which, by the way, donated the cost of the services free today. And I want you to know they demonstrate a beautiful technique on offering our stewardship of finances. When you see the live streaming video of the cathedral, they always have a gentle reminder to donate to the cathedral. And while we're not here for the money, during these times, as a wise nun once told me when I was a hospital administrator, if there's no margin, there's no mission. And so you might want to consider putting a gentle reminder of donating online while you are promoting these online resources. So I'm going to click President's Meeting Resources and just quickly show you today you could have entered the meeting with one click. We had the agenda, we had the resource material, and if I click over here, I see that there is a password needed, at least until I can free this up. And so guess what I chose? Precious Cross, because tomorrow is the Feast of the Cross, and you will see the times and the speakers, and you simply have to click. And if you're excited about seeing that video that Dr. George talked about, here it is, and then you can start reviewing that. So in wrapping my portion up, I thank you, and I also hope that you will share these online resources with the Parish Council members not present today. Oh yes, the password one more time for another hour is Precious space Cross, uppercase P, uppercase C, Precious Cross.
With this, I believe that we have concluded the wonderful gathering, but I would like you all to know that it is very hard for me and for the people that were here, and were less than 10, not to see people, not to feel the love, not to feel the warmth, not to feel the presence. But these are the things that we miss. But from in the other side of the coin, we have more things that we have accomplished that could have accomplished when we weren't present. And one thing is that usually in these gatherings, we have around 70, 80 people that they participate, and of course many of the communities that didn't have participants here. Today we have exceeded that number, and we had, according to Father Christo, who is the bookkeeper here, we had 225 participants, which lets me understand that number one, we had more participants from each community, and of course more communities that were participating in this gathering. The other thing that we have missed is that we didn't have a dialogue. We had a monologue. And again, this is another good sign that you can find everything that has been spoken here in the internet, as Father George mentioned, and therefore you can send us your thoughts, and again, we're going to study them and we will share with the people. The other thing that I would like you to know is that this time is a special time for all of us, and we have to think how we can take care of ourselves. And in order to take care of ourselves is that we have to be in distance from the others. In other words, because then we are protecting the others and we are protecting ourselves from the others. And that is that we have to stay at home. Staying at home is not a punishment. It's a thing that many of us would like to have in order to study, in order to think, and most important, in order to pray. Speaking about prayer, we have sent to the parishes, and through the parishes, I hope the clergymen and your priests, they have disseminated that prayer to all of you. And every evening, 8 o'clock, as we get together to have a supper, to have a dinner, or to have a family gathering, we can use that prayer, because with a prayer we communicate with God. We are children of God, and He is our Father, and we should never forget that this Father is a loving Father, like all the fathers on earth. And He is thinking about us, He is trying to take care of us. The only thing is that we have to come to our senses so we can be closer to Him by using our time, which is a precious thing to all of us in today's society. With this, once again, I would like to thank all of you for participating. I would like to thank His Grace, Father George and Monica and Mr. Matthews and Father Paul and Father Christ. These are the people that are present here. But I would like also to thank the people that they have spoken to us, and all of them, they have done a good job. Mr. Louis, Mr. Frank, Mr. Dr. George, and all of them, they have done an excellent job, and Dr. Misios in its department that they have been involved. And as you can see, the strategic plan that we started years ago with Mr. Marianis is still working, and that is what Dr. George was referring about our clergymen. And strategic planning is not a once-year job, but it's every year job that we have constantly to think and to vision the future of our families, of our church, and of course of the universe. God bless you all. God be with us today, tomorrow, and the rest of our lives. Through the praise of our Holy Father, Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. Amen. God bless. Don't forget prayer and prosochi. Be careful. Father George, we finish.